Welcome to Python Programming for Beginners. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ajay and I have been programming with Python for the last 4 years. So I will be your instructor in this Udemy course. So before we start learning Python, there is something that you need to know. You must know why you should learn Python. The first reason is that Python is simple. Python is one of the most easiest programming languages to learn. So Python is a very good place to start if you're interested in learning to code. Now another good reason is that most of the popular websites are made using Python. Some websites made using Python are YouTube, Google, Quora, Pinterest, Instagram, and many more. All these websites are using Python. So with that, you know how powerful Python is. So that is a very good reason to learn Python. If you're into web development and want to make fun websites, Python is a very good place to start. If you want to learn Python web development or game development or software development, you need to know basics. Without knowing the basics, you cannot learn advanced concept. So that is what this course does. This course will teach you all the basics of Python in just 3 hours. It will not waste your time. It will be straightforward and you will learn to write simple programs in just 3 hours. So with this knowledge, it will be very easy for you to learn Python web development, Python game development, or even software development. So I'll not waste further time and let's start coding. Welcome back. In this lecture, you will be making your very first program. So are you excited? Let's get started. Okay, so this is how a PyCharm interface is going to look like. If you install PyCharm on your computers, this is how it will look like. Now to start off, go to File and click on New Project. You can select the location of your project by clicking here, and you can select wherever you want, and you can change the name by replacing the text over here. We'll name it first because it's our very first program. You can name it anything you want, and our PyCharm will create a project location. All the files of your project will be saved in this first folder. Now after creating your new project, go to File again and click on New. And you can see options here. We'll click on Python file and you can name your file. So we'll name it anything. Let it be program. Click on OK, and this is how our screen will look like. Now file name is program.py. If you noticed, every Python file will have the extension py. Okay, now to start coding. Now instead of printing hello world, we'll print game on this time because hello world is like boring. Everyone does hello world. So let's mix it up a little bit. So to print onto the screen, all you have to do is just go and type print. You can see that PyCharm has already done it for us. We just have to select from this drop down list, and inside the brackets or the parentheses, start double quotes, and we will type in game on. Okay, now to run this program, we'll go to the run menu and we'll click on run, and we'll select our program, and you can see the output here. This is where you will get the output in PyCharm. You can see that game on is being printed onto the screen. Now if you don't want to If you don't want to print game on, you want to print something else, all you have to do is just change the text inside these double quotes. Instead of game on, you want to print hello, and you can do that. All you have to do is just change the text inside the quotes. If you change the text to something else, if you change the text to carrots and hit on run here, you can go to run tab, you can go to run menu and select run, or else you can just click on this play button here and you can see carrots. So in order to print text in Python, all you have to do is just type in the print. Print is our keyword, and inside the two brackets, within two double quotes, we will enter our preferred text. And if you want to print more text, you can use more print commands. For example, if you enter this line twice, we'll try running it again, and you can see that our carrots got print twice. And if you want to do it again, you can just copy and paste the code and you'll get carrots 3 times. So whatever you want to print onto the screen, all you have to do is just use the print keyword, start two brackets, inside double quotes, type the text you want to print. It is simple as that. The best way to learn Python or any programming language is to practice more and more programs. So that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a nice day. Welcome back everyone. This lecture's topic is going to be variables. Now in this lecture we will learn what are variables, different types of variables, and finally how to create variables. Now first of all, what are variables? As the name suggests, variable is something whose value can change. Variable is a way of referring to a memory location used by the computer program. Now, variables can be assumed as a container. That means it can store something. And the best part about variables is that its value can be changed during the program. It can be accessed anytime and its values can be changed. As the name suggests, variables are something whose values can be changed. Now all this doesn't matter. You'll understand what variables are as you start writing programs with it. Now before we do that, there is one more thing that you need to learn. That is different types of variables. Now there are 5 different standard data types in Python. They are numbers or integers, strings, list, tuples, and dictionaries. These are the 5 main standard data types of Python. Now in our first few sections, we'll be mainly dealing with numbers and strings. We will move on to lists, tuples, and dictionaries later in the course. So for now, we will deal with numbers, that is integers, or strings. Okay, I'll explain what numbers and strings mean with an example. X equal to 10. Now this means that X is our variable and 10 is the value stored in that variable. Y equal to high. Now Y is another variable and it stores the word high. Now X and Y are 2 variables, but these 2 variables are of different data types. Our X is an integer data type because it stores an integer. 10 is an integer. X stores the value of 10 in it. So X is an integer variable. Now y on the other hand is a string because it stores a word. Hi is a word. So anything written in double quotes or single quotes in Python is treated as a string, and numbers are treated as integers. For example, our x is equal to 10, so 10 is an integer. That means x is of integer data type, and y stores a word in it, so it is a string data type. So words or characters are referred to as strings in Python. Now in our first section, we'll deal mainly with these two data types. We will learn more complex data types as we progress into the course. Now let's start making variables in PyCharm. Okay, we have our PyCharm opened, and now we will create variables. First of all, let's start creating a variable, and we'll create an integer variable. So we are going to store. So let's create the variable. Let the variable name be var for variable, and let it store the value 101. So our variable is of integer data type. Now let's make another variable. This time it will be a string. So let it be named as word. By now you will have a clear idea how an integer variable looks like and a string variable looks like. Now a string variable is inside double quotes. This is how we make variables. Now in other programming languages like C++, you have to specify the data type. Now in Python, you don't have to do that. It does all the work for you. You just initialize your variable and it will automatically assign the data type. Now we have created variables. Now let's try printing them too. So to print variables, all you have to do is use the print keyword followed by the brackets and type in the variable name. Now let's run this and see if it's working. And in the output screen you can see our variable is printed, our integer variable is printed, and our string variable is printed. Now printing variables, you don't have to use double quotes like we did in our previous lecture. We just have to type the variable name. To print a variable, use the print keyword, start brackets, inside the bracket, type in the variable name. And Python will print the variable value onto the output screen. For example, here our variable value is 101. So on the output screen we have the value 101. And our string variable has hey, I'm a string, and you can see hey, I'm a string in the output screen. So this is how you make variables. So that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a great day. Welcome back everyone. Suppose you are making a calculator and you want to find the sum of two numbers. You could do that by just initializing values like a equal to 2, b equal to 3, print a plus b. That will give you the output file. But what if you want the user to give the numbers? You want the users to set values for your variables. That is where input functions come in handy. Now I'll teach you how to use an input function. First of all, you need to choose a name for your variable. So we'll be making a program to print the sum of two numbers, and those two numbers should come from the user. So let's do that. Let a be our first variable. So to receive input into a, all you have to do is use int bracket input. You do this and Python will read input of a from the user. Now int is specified here, which means that the input is going to be an integer. The same way we can initialize a value for b. Now we have received our values from the user for a and b. Now we need to print it. So let's print the sum of it, that is a plus b. Okay, so what this code means is that a will be inputted from the user, b will be inputted from the user, and we'll print the sum of those two numbers. Okay, let's run it and see if the code is working. Okay, now we can enter in a number, let it be 3, and the second number be 5, and we got 8, which is our required output. Okay, this is all great. The program is working perfectly. But what if you ask your friend to run this for you and he doesn't see the code, he just sees the program output. He doesn't know what to do. Like we know, we are the ones who made the program, so we know that we had to enter a number. But for someone else, that is a user using it, don't know what they have to do. So we must specify what the user is supposed to do. So for that, what we can do is, inside the input bracket, we could add a string. If you take a look at the code, what this is supposed to do is that instead of just providing a space to enter your input, Python will now show this string that is we have written inside this input bracket, that is enter the value of first number. Let's run this and you will have a more clear idea. You can see that enter the value of the first number comes in and we can give an input, and we have space to provide an input, let it be 5, and then enter the value of second number, it can be 6, and we get an output that this sum is 11. Now this program is more user friendly. Even someone who doesn't know how to code in Python can understand. Whenever you use input statements, make sure that you provide this string inside the input bracket so that the user can have an idea of what they're supposed to do. Now in this case, the user is supposed to enter a number. So by adding that inside this input bracket, our program will become more user friendly. Now, there's also one more thing that you need to know. We can use the print statement like this. If you have multiple things to print, you can separate them with the help of comma operator, and you can use it inside the print statement, like we have done here. You can do this way by separating it with a comma, or else you can do it in two separate print statements. You can simply use a print statement and separate the text and the variable using comma operator, or else you can use multiple print statements like this. The code will work the same. So I'll repeat again what we learned in this lecture. That is, in order to receive input into a variable, all you have to do is use the variable name equal to int, which is supposed to be the type of the value we are entering, that is integer, followed by input, and inside the input bracket we type a text that is supposed to tell the user what they have to do. For example, in this case, he has to enter the value of the first number. The same way, the value of b is also received from the user, and finally we print the sum of those two numbers. You will have more understanding about this as we do more programs. So for now, this is all you need to know. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you. In this lesson, we will learn about conditional statements. So what are conditional statements? Conditional statements are statements that run according to the outcome of a condition. So if a condition is true, then the following set of statements will be executed. Okay, so there are three main types of conditional statements in Python. They are the if statement, the elif statement, and the else statement. These are the most commonly used conditional statements in Python. So in this lecture, we will be learning about the if statement. Now the basic logic behind if statement is that there will be a condition, and if the value of that condition is true, then the following set of statements will be executed. Now here is a flowchart which shows an example. If the value of x is greater than 5, then we will print the value of x. So this is the logic behind the if condition. That is, if the condition inside the if is true, then the statements inside the if statement will be executed. Now you will understand this better as we try out a program. So this is an example, and you can see that x equal to int input, enter the value of x. We learned about this in our last lecture. This is how we input value given by the user into the variable. Now here is our if condition. So we have to use an if condition, we use the if keyword followed by the brackets. Inside the brackets, we provide our condition, and if the condition is true, then this statement will be executed. Now there is a problem. If all the if statements are written like this, that the programmer will get confused of which part is inside the if statement and which part is not inside the if statement. So to solve that confusion in Python, whenever you write body of an if statement, you have to add a tab space. To add a tab space, you just have to press on the tab button on your keyboard. You can do this, or else you can press the space bar 3 times. Now what this does is that now we can easily identify which part of the code is inside the if statement and which part is outside the if statement. This is called indentation. So in order to use the if statement, we use the if keyword followed by the brackets. Inside the brackets, we provide a condition. In this case, it is x greater than 5. And if that condition is true, we will print the value of x. And to identify which part of code is inside the if statement, we separate the statements inside the if using a tab button. That is, we'll add a tab space. Now you can easily understand which part of the code is inside the if statement and which part is outside the if statement. Now let's run this program. Enter the value of x. We'll enter 16, which is greater than 5. And we can see that 16 is printed in the output screen. This is because 16 is greater than 5. So I think if statement is clear to you. So I'll repeat the syntax of the if statement once again. To use the if statement, we use the if keyword, open 2 brackets. Inside the bracket, we provide our condition. Use a full colon. You need to remember this part. The full colon has to be used, not a semicolon, but the full colon. Then, after inserting a tab space, we write our code inside the if statement. In this case, that is print x. Okay, so that is all about if statements. In our next lecture, we will learn about elif statements. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching. Welcome back everyone. Now before we learn about elif statements, you need to understand why we need elif statements. So I have written the following code here. Now I'll tell you what it does. First, we will read the value of x from the user. Now double equal to means it is a equality checker or a comparison operator. That means it will compare if the value of x is equal to 1. Single equal to means initializing that value. Two equal to's mean it will check for equality. Instead of initialization, it will check for equality. That is, in this case, it will check if value of x is equal to 1. And if the value of x is equal to 1, then only the statements inside the first if statement will execute. So now let's run this. Enter value of x, we'll enter the value 2 and we'll get the output b. So hey, this program is working properly. Why do we need an else statement here? Now I'll tell you why. Suppose we are having 27 of if statements like these. The program will take a long time to run. Now we just have 5 statements. But if you have 27 if statements like these, the program is going to take forever to run because it has to check if x value is equal to 1, x value is equal to 2, x value is equal to 3. So to prevent that, there's a simple way we can fix this problem. We use the elif statement. Okay, so by using the elif statement, what happens is that the elif statement will only execute if the if condition is false. That means only if the initial if condition is false, the other conditions will be evaluated. If the value of x is 1, the rest of the elif statements will not execute. Only the first one will execute. Now if value of x is 2, only these two statements will be executed. It will not check if x value is equal to 3, x value is equal to 4, x value is equal to 5, because we already know that the value of x is equal to 2. So I think the concept is clear. What elif it does is that it only checks until a condition becomes true. All the other elif statements below the true condition will not execute. Means if the second elif is true, then the program will not look if the third, fourth and fifth elif conditions are true. So this way we can save valuable running time of our program. Now in small programs it won't make any difference, but in large programs it will show a large difference in the running time. So I'll repeat what we learned in this lecture. If x is equal to 1, then we'll print a and then stop the program. It will not check if x is equal to 2. The same way, if the value of x is equal to 2, then it will stop there. It won't check if the value of x is 3 or x is 4 or the value of x is 5, because Python already knows that the value of x is 2. That is how the elif statement works. We will have more understanding of this as we write more programs using elif statements. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome back, students. Now last but not the least, we will learn about the else statements. Now we'll understand the concept of else statement with the same code of our previous program. So what we'll do is that, let us run this program again. So what this program does is that it will print an alphabet according to the number we enter. That means if we enter 1, it will print A. If we enter 2, it will print B. If we enter 3, it will print C. If we enter 4, it will print D. And if we enter 5, it will print E. But have you ever wondered what would happen if we entered 6 or 7 or any other number? Let's try. So suppose we entered 7. Let's see what will happen. Nothing happens. We don't have any output. So what can we do to fix this problem? That is where else statements come in handy. That is where else statements come in handy. As the name suggests, else. That means if all the other comparisons are false, then only the else statement will be executed. So I'll show you an example. Okay, so we have added our else statement here. To add else statement, we use the else keyword followed by the full colon, then a tab space, and we enter our statement. Now if we enter a value which is not among 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, suppose 7, we'll get an output that please enter a number between 1 and 5 because all our above comparisons are false. So this is going to be our default statement in case all our conditions fail. Using if, elif and else like this is called the if, elif, else ladder. It works like a ladder, so it is called the if, elif, else ladder. Now I'll explain these three of these conditional statements once again. First, the if statement condition will be evaluated. It will check if x is equal to 1. Now if x is equal to 1, it will print the value a and stop the program there. Now if the value of x is not 1, it will check if the value of x is 2. Now if the value of x is 2, then it will print b and stop the program there. If elif is used, if instead of elif we have used if, then the program will keep on checking if x is equal to 3, x equal to 4, x equal to 5. But if we use elif, if the condition is true, then the program will stop right there. It will not check the rest of the elif statements. If all of these comparisons are false, that means x is not equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, then our else statement will be executed and it will ask to enter a value that is between 1 and 5. Now the concept may be clear to you, and for some of you it may not be that much clear. But we'll understand all this as we practice more code with it. We'll be doing that in the coming lectures. So you'll understand how conditional statements work by then. Okay, so that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome back everyone. Now in this lecture, we're going to do something that's really fun. Till now we have been just messing around with Python. But this lecture is the real deal. We're going to make our very first real-world application. Yes, you heard it right. We're going to make a real-world application. We're not going to be printing hello worlds anymore. We're going to be making something that is actually useful. In this lecture, we'll be making a calculator. And we'll make our calculator using the things we'll learn till now. Alright, so let's get started. Now if you already checked out the documentation, you somewhat have an idea on how a calculator is going to work. If you want, you can try it on your own, or else we'll do it together. So basically, this is how our calculator is going to work. Our calculator is going to use two numbers, so we must have two variables, two integer variables to receive those numbers. We also need a string variable or a character variable to read our operator. So we'll be needing three variables. So let's go ahead and make those three variables. You can pause the video and try it on your own if you want. So let's make three variables. Okay, now if you take a look at the code, you can see that we have made our three variables. Now we'll do a short recap. What input is going to be doing is that it will take a number from the user and store that value in num1. Now whenever we don't specify int, that means we just use input, it means we are going to be reading a string. You already know that. Okay, so our variable part is done. Now about the operation. So our user will enter an operator like addition operator, subtraction operator, whatever, and the respective operation has to be performed and we'll have to print the result. So that means we're going to be needing conditional statements. So let's get started. Okay, we have successfully written our very first conditional statement, and here's what it's going to do. It will check if our AND operator is an additional operator. That means it will check for the plus sign, and if it is the plus sign, it will add those two numbers and it will print the value. So if the user enters the plus operator, then it will print the sum of those two numbers. Now the same way we'll add the minus operator, we'll add the multiplication operator and also the division operator. Now if you have gone through my previous lectures, you will know that we'll be using elif statements. We'll be using the if, elif, else ladder for this. We'll be using elif statement to make our program more efficient. The program will still work if you use the if statement, but we'll use the elif statement for more efficiency. So we can write our program in this way if you want, but this will not be that much efficient. To reduce the number of comparisons, we'll be using the elif statement. So let's use the elif statement here. Alright, our program is more efficient now. It will have less number of comparisons. Now there's one more thing that we'll need to do. What will happen if our operator entered some other operator other than these four? For example, maybe an exclamation sign. So we must add an error message too. So to add the error message, we'll use our else statement. We learned that in our previous lecture. If you don't remember how to use it, you can go back and refer to our previous lecture. We'll be using our else statement. Alright, our program is complete. We'll read two numbers, we'll read an operator, and according to the operator, we'll perform the operation. And if the operator is not among these four, it will print invalid operator. So program is complete. Now let's try running this. Alright, seems everything is working fine. So let's enter two numbers here. Let the first one be 12. The second number be 12 again. And oops, we forgot to change this one. It should not be under the first number, it should be under the operator. So let's fix that. Alright, so that is fixed. Let's try running this again. First number 12, second number maybe 15 this time. Operator, let it be the addition operator, that is plus, and we get the output 27. So we just added our two numbers and we got the output 27. So program is working perfectly. Congratulations, you have made your very first application in Python. Now this is just the beginning. This is a very basic calculator. You can add more functionalities to this as we learn more features about Python. So for now, this is all you need to know. Now in our next section, we'll be learning about iteration statements. It is a very interesting section, so I'll see you there. Thank you for watching. Iteration is doing something again and again until a specific condition is satisfied. That is what iterations are. Now let's learn the different types of iterations in Python. The main two ones are the for loop and the while loop. Now iteration statements are also known as looping statements. The two types of iteration statements or looping statements in Python are for loop and while loop. So in this lecture we will be dealing with for loops. Now first of all we need to understand the syntax. So here's the syntax. For I in range, brackets, lower limit to upper limit, a full colon, and the loop body. This is the basic syntax of our for loop. So I'll explain this better with an example. So I have an example right here. For I in range 0 to 5, print I. So what this does is that i's value is going to start from 0 and it will keep on incrementing until it reaches 4, not 5, till 4. So what we are going to get in the output screen is that we are going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to get these 5 numbers printed onto our output screen by just entering these 2 lines of code. So value of I is going to range 0 to upper limit minus 1. In this case upper limit is 5. So the value of I will range from 0 to 4 and it will print each value of I. So first it will print 0, then it will print 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then it will stop. You could do the same thing by using 5 different print statements like print 0, print 1, print 2, print 3. But instead of that, by writing these 2 lines of code, you can do the same thing. Now that's all great. Now let's try actually writing a program in PyCharm. Alright, so we have a PyCharm opened up here. We're going to write a program that will print our first 10 numbers. So that's great. Now we could do that in 2 ways. You could either do like print 0, print 1, print 2, print 3 till 10. You could do that. It will work. But there is an easier way. We'll be using our for loop. So I'll show you how. Instead of writing 10 lines of code, I can get the same result in just 2 lines of code. So I'll tell you what this does. First, the value of I is going to be 0 and then it will go into this loop body, and inside the loop body it will print that value of I. The current value of I will be 0, so it will print 0. Then what for loop does is that it will increment this value of I by 1. So new value of I is 1 instead of 0 and it will print that value 1. Then it will increment it again and the value will become 2 and then it will print 2. Now this goes on until the value of I becomes equal to our upper limit minus 1. In this case it will go until 9. So let's run this. Okay, we forgot our brackets. So that is an error, we have fixed it. Now let's run it again. Alright, if you check the output screen, you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 9. Now in case you want 10 in your output, you could do that by changing this to 11. So this loop will run until the value of I is equal to 10. Now there are different ways of using for loop. Instead of using in range with for loop, there are many other ways in which you can use the for loop. But we cannot learn all of it at the same time. This is the very basic usage of our for loop. There are many more ways in which we can use for loops. You will learn that later in this course. So since we are just starting out, this is all you need to know for now. In our next lecture, we'll be dealing with while loops. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching. Welcome back everyone. In this lecture, we will be learning about while loops. Now I'll explain the concept of while loops with an example. So check out this program. First, we enter the value of I from the user. Then we have our while loop syntax here. So this is how the while loop works. To use the while loop, we use the while keyword. We start two brackets. Inside the brackets, we provide our condition. In this case, the loop will run as long as the value of I is greater than 5. Alright. Now what happens inside the loop is that it will print the current value of I, then subtract 1 from it. So, in case you have provided the number 10, first it will print 10, then it will subtract 1 from it, that means it will become 9, then it will print 9, then 8, then 7, then 6, and it will stop there because 5 is not greater than 5, 5 is equal to 5. So, the while loop only works as long as the condition inside this bracket is true. So let's run this program and you'll have a clear idea. So we have to enter our number. Let it be 10. And you can see the output screen. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. First the value is 10. It will print that value 10. Then it will subtract 1 from it. And it will check if that number is greater than 5. That means it will check if 9 is greater than 5. Yes, 9 is greater than 5. So it will print 9. Then that I value will be subtracted by 1 again. So that I value will become 8. And it will check if 8 is greater than 5. Yes, 8 is greater than 5. So it will print 8. And then subtract 1 from it. So our I value will become 7. Then it will check if 7 is greater than 5. Yes, 7 is greater than 5. So it will print 7 also. And make it 6. And it will compare again if 6 is greater than 5. Yes, 6 is greater than 5. So it will print 6 and make the value of I 5 now. So the current value of I is 5. So it will check if 5 is greater than 5. Is 5 greater than 5? No, 5 is equal to 5. That means our condition inside the while loop is false. So our loop will stop working there and we'll get the final output 10, 9, 8, 7 and 6. So that is how the while loop works. I'll explain it once again. To use the while loop, we use the while keyword. Inside the bracket we provide our condition. Use a full colon. Make sure you provide this tab space. Now inside the loop body you can provide whatever you want. And the loop body will keep on getting executed as long as the condition inside the while loop is true. This may be a little bit overwhelming at the beginning, but as we write more programs using iteration statements, this concept will be very much clear to you. So for now, this is all you need to know. Okay, so I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Before we practice writing more iteration statements, there is something that you need to know. Something that is very interesting. That is infinite loops. We'll be learning about infinite loops. That sounds really fun, right? Well, not really. So I'll show you how it works. So I'll tell you what an infinite loop is. Infinite loop keep on executing forever. That means it will never end. So what causes an infinite loop? Remember this previous program, we have provided an I equal to I minus 1. Right? Remember that, right? So what would happen if we remove this line of code? Let's see. So I have removed that line of code. Now let's try running this. Enter the number, let it be 12. And you can see that the program, you can check out the output screen and you can see that the program is not ending. It's being executed again and again and again and again. Why? It is an infinite loop. So I'll tell you why this happens. First, let me just stop this. Okay. So I'll tell you why this happens. I told you that the while loop will keep on executing as long as the condition is true. So I value is 10. First it will check if 10 is greater than 5. Yes, 10 is greater than 5. So it will print the value 10. Not changing the value of I here. It forever remains 10. So what happens is that it will keep on comparing if 10 is greater than 5. Yes, of course 10 is greater than 5. So that condition will always be true because we are not decreasing or increasing the value of I. So it will keep on getting executed again and again and again and again. And there is no end to this program. So this is called an infinite loop. Infinite loop happens when the loop condition is always true. So that is the reason why we provided an I equal to I minus 1 here. So in this case, the value of I will keep on decreasing. So there is an end. So when the I value becomes equal to 5 or less than 5, the program will stop right there. So I think the concept of infinite loop is clear to you. So that is all about infinite loops. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. Welcome back everyone. In this section, we'll be dealing with functions. Now first of all, you must understand what are functions. So what are functions? Functions are named part of a program that can be used from anywhere inside the program. Alright, that is the definition. The definition makes it sound very complicated. So I'll explain functions with a very simple example. If you go to a supermarket, you can find that all the vegetables are kept together, all the electronics are kept together, all the kitchen utensils are kept together, all the toys are kept together so that the customer can easily find their product. The same principle is used in functions. Now functions is a way of breaking down our program into smaller components so that the program can be easily modified by the programmer and also at the same time easily understood by the user. So functions are ways of breaking down our program into small individual units. Now let me show you an example. With this example it will be clear to you. Now a function has two parts. First is function definition, which deals with what the function has to do, and the function call. Function call deals with what values the task has to be done. Alright, so the above code is an example of a function. Now to write a function, first we start off by typing in def followed by the function name, and inside the bracket we will type in the variables that are used inside the function. Now this function is to add two numbers. So we'll be using two variables, a and b. So we'll list down those variables inside this bracket. So to write a function, we use the def keyword followed by the function name. In this case it is add, open a bracket, and inside the bracket we'll type in the variables that are used inside the function. Alright, so this sounds cool. But how can we use this function? There's a problem with this. We don't know the values of a and b. So we must provide the function with values of a and b. Now, first of all, this process is called function call. That means we are going to provide some values to the function so that it can perform the operations inside the function. So I'll show you an example of a function call. So this line is an example of a function call. What it does is that it is going to send the values 5 and 6 to our function definition. That means a will be 5 and b will be 6. So let's run this program and you'll get the output 11 in it. So program is working perfectly. So what happens here is that this function call will send the value of 5 and the value of 5 will go to a, and the value of 6 will go to B. And inside the function, what we're actually doing is the sum of A and B. So it will add 5 and 6 and print that value. So we got the output 11 in our screen. Suppose you're working for a computer firm and they asked you to write this simple function. So you can easily write it, right? Now after a month, they're telling you that you need to add a third variable. So suppose you want to modify this program to 3 variables. You can do it in split of a second. All you have to do is just add one more variable to this function, a plus b plus the third variable. And in the function call, you must provide one more number. So within split of a second, you can expand this program. That means functions make it very easy to modify the program. Now I'm explaining with a very small program here. If we move on further into this course and deal with larger programs, you'll have a clear idea why functions are very necessary. So we'll run and verify it again. And 18. 5 plus 6 plus 7, 18. So program is working fine. So I'll repeat how a function works. To write a function, use the def keyword followed by the function name. Open a bracket and list in the variables that are going to be used in this function. Then use a full colon. After providing a tab space, write in the function body. In this case, we'll be printing the sum of these 3 variables. So print a plus b plus c. Now that is all about function definition. Now to function call means providing some value into that function. And that is what we have done here. We'll be providing the value of 5, 6 and 7 to this function. So what this will be doing is that the value of 5 will go to A, value of 6 will go to B, value of 7 will go to C, and it will print the value of 5 plus 6 plus 7. So that is how this program works. Now we'll do more examples using functions, so you'll have a clear idea on how functions work. Now in our last lecture we were dealing with functions, so we're going to keep on writing more programs using functions so that you have a clear idea about functions. So let's write another program using functions. First of all, you must use the def followed by the function name. Let's type some random stuff. That will be food. So function name is going to be food and a full colon. Our function name is going to be food because why not? An empty parenthesis, that means we will not be using any variables in this function. And inside the function, let's print something out. Chicken burgers for everyone. Yay! Awesome. Alright. So this is how our function definition is going to be. We use the def keyword followed by the function name, our parenthesis, and it is empty, our brackets, and it will be empty because we are not using any variables inside this, a full colon, our tab space, and our function body. Alright, now let's try running this. You'll see that there are no outputs. Why? Because we haven't actually called this function. Now calling a function is Python's way of saying like, you want to turn on a light, you must switch on the light, right? The same way, you can make a function, but in order to use that function, we must call that function. So to call the function, just like we did in our last lecture, we just have to type in our function name followed by the opening and closing of brackets. We'll open and close our brackets. Inside there will not be any variables this time because we are not using any variables in the function definition. Alright, now let's run this. Yay, chicken burgers for everyone. So program is working perfectly. Another great use of functions is that you can call it as many times as you want. So you can just copy paste this code. So you can just call it again and again, and the program will still work. See, you got it 4 times this time. So if you're writing a 100-line program, and after writing the 100th line, you want to call this function again, you can do that without writing the code again. Functions can be reused and easily modified. That is the main use of functions. Alright, that is all for this example. Now in our next lecture, we'll be dealing with more complex examples. So I want you to try writing your own functions at home. Alright, so that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a great day. Welcome back everyone. We're dealing with more advanced concept of functions. So in this lecture, what we're going to do is that, suppose you're writing a program and instead of just printing the result of your function, you want to store that result in a variable. So what can we do? Now I'll explain with a small example right here. Suppose you opened a food market and according to the order of your customer, you want to print the price of that item. I have written some parts of the function here already. We use def, which is our keyword for writing a function. A function name is order and it will receive an item which is going to be a string, and it will check if this item is equal to chicken burger. Now if the item is a chicken burger, we must send back a value to the function call. So to do that, we'll use the return keyword. Now we will return the value 1. Alright. So next step, we must receive the item name from the user. So next what we must do is we have to call the function. We'll not only be just calling the function, we're going to store the value. We're going to store the result of that function in a variable. So to do that, we'll create a variable result. It can be any name, but for the time being, we'll use result. And this result must store the result of the function. So to do that, we must function call. So we have to function call with the value given by the user. So in this case, result equal to order item name. So this is our function call. So what this will do is that it will send this item name, which is going to be the item name entered by the user, and it will check if that item is equal to chicken burger. Now if the item is equal to chicken burger, it will return the value 1. So what that means is that it will send back the value 1 to this function call. So our result will be equal to 1. So let's print the result value so that you'll have a clear idea when we run the program. Okay, so last part is that we are going to check that if the result value is 1, it must print the price of our chicken burger. So let's do that. Alright, so if the result value is equal to 1, we'll print the price and also print out thank you for shopping. Alright, so our program is complete. Now let's try running this. Alright, we have to enter our item name. So let's enter chicken burger. Alright, now check out the output screen. Result is 1, $5, thank you for shopping. So program is working perfectly. So return keyword is used to send back a value to the function call. This is used when we want to store the result of a function into a variable so that that result can be used anywhere in the program. For example, this case. Now we'll run this again And if we type in something else, for example, maybe French fries, result is none. That means there is no French fries. We only have chicken burgers. So this program is only going to work if the entered item is chicken burger. Now I have a small assignment for you. Add one more item. Expand this function for French fries so that it works if the input is French fries. So for that you can just add one more conditional statement and check if the item is equal to French fries. If the item is equal to French fries, return 2 or some other value instead of 1, and then store that value in another variable and check if that variable value is equal to the return value. So I think the concept of return is clear to you. We'll do more programs with it and you'll have a better understanding of this. So don't worry if it's not clear to you right now. It will be clear to you by the end of this section. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day. Welcome back everyone. In this lecture, we'll be learning about default arguments. Now learning the concept of default arguments is very important. So before we learn that, you must understand why we need it. So I will explain to you the need of default arguments with a very simple example. We are going to use a real world example. Suppose you have made yourself a game, and you have uploaded it to Steam, Amazon and all sorts of online markets. Suppose it's on Amazon and a customer comes in and he likes your game and he wants to buy it. He wants to buy one for himself, one for 3 other friends of his. So he comes in, he selects the number of copies as 4. Assuming that our game price is $40, he selects 4 copies. He can immediately see that the total price has changed to $160. Great, right? We have written a very small program for that. We have defined a function price and it receives in a variable qty and it will print qty into 40, which 40 is the price for one game, one copy. So in this case the user has entered 4, so he will get something like this. Price is $160. Suppose the customer is in a hurry, he's very excited about buying your game. He forgets to enter the quantity. That means he forgets to enter the number of copies. So in this case, what would happen? We'll run this. You can see that we get an error because there is no quantity entered. So what will we do? So how can we solve this problem? There must always be a default argument, a default value in case the user forgets to enter his input. In most cases, whenever we are buying something, most people would be looking to buy just one quantity, right? One copy of it. So the default value should be 1. In case the user forgets to enter the quantity or number of copies, the default value should be 1. So how can we do that? It is very simple. I will show you how. Here is our function definition and we have provided that qty will be the variable that we are going to use inside the function. So to give it a default value, all you have to do is inside this bracket qty equal to 1. In this case it's 1 because 1 will be our default value. Now let's run this. You can see that it works and we get an output price is equal to $40. So even if the user forgets to enter the quantity, he will still be able to move forward. So I think you understood the need of default arguments. I'll explain again how to give a default value. So in this function definition, usually we just give in the variable name, right? Now we are also giving, in this case, we are also giving the default value of that variable. That means we are giving the variable equal to 1. So in case no other value is provided to this function, it will operate with this 1. Now we have already, if the user has entered 4, we still get 160 because we have a value for qty. So in cases where there is no value for qty, it will treat 1 as the value. So this way, even if your customer forgets to enter the quantity, you can still move on because the quantity by default will be 1. So I think default arguments are clear to you. So that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a great day. Welcome back everyone. In this lecture we are going to be learning about strings. Now I already gave you an introduction about strings in our very first section. Now we are going to learn about strings in detail. We are going to do a short recap on what strings are. Now strings are a collection of characters. Basically they're just a bunch of text or sentences or words, collection of words or characters of any sort. Now they must always be inside single quotes or double quotes. Always remember, anything inside double quotes or single quotes is a string, and if it is not inside the quotes, it is not a string. So always remember that. Now another important thing to remember is that whenever we count the number of characters of a string, the counting starts from 0. Whenever we are dealing with computer stuff, we always count from 0. Not from 1, but from 0. So suppose we have a string Pikachu, which is my favorite Pokemon. The counting always starts from 0. Whatever string it is, the counting is going to start from 0. So in this case, when we count it normally, there are 7 characters, right? P-I-K-A-C-H-U, 7. But in programming languages, whenever we are dealing with the computer, we are counting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 means there are just 6 characters and we are counting from 0. So remember, in strings, when we count the number of characters, we are counting from 0. Alright? That means the 0th letter of our string is P. The first letter is I. The second letter is K. You get the point. You get the point, right? Alright. Now, there are ways in which we can use that inside our program. So I'll show you that. Okay, so we have opened up our PyCharm here. Very cool. Now, A equal to Pikachu. Alright, very cool. Now, in case we just want to see the first letter of our string. So to do that, all we have to do is print A. Then we use the square brackets. Remember, we are not using the parenthesis, we are using the square brackets A of 0. Now I already told you which is the 0th character in the string. Yes, P. So now let's run this and check if it is working. Yes, in the output screen we get P. Now in case we change this 0 to 1, let's run this again. We get I. That means our second character or second letter. Now if you want the 5th character or the 5th letter to print, just select A inside the square brackets 5. We run this, we get H. So we can access individual letters of a string by using the string name, the string variable name, square brackets, the number of the character you want to print. In this case 5 and we get H. Very cool. Remember, the counting starts from 0. That is very important. Remember that always. That is the basics of string. Now in our coming lectures we are going to deal more about string. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Welcome back everyone. We were talking about the cool things you can do with strings. So in case you provided -1 inside the square bracket of our previous program from our last lecture, and we run this, we can see that we got our last character. So in order to get the last character or the last letter, you can use -1. Now to get the second last letter, you can use -2. And we'll run this and we get H, which is our second last letter. Now if we want the third last letter, we can just change this to -3. and we get C. So I think that is clear. Whenever you use minus, that is negative numbers, you can read the string from backwards. -1 means the last letter, -2 means second last letter, and so on. There's a very cool feature of strings. You can slice strings. Yes, like we slice an apple, we can slice strings. So first I'll show you an example of slicing strings. So suppose this is our string Pikachu here. You just want some part of Pikachu to be printed. For example, just Pika part. Okay? You just want the first 4 letters to be printed. So to do that, very simple, I'll show you how. 0. We use the full colon up to 4. 0, full colon 4, and let's see what happens. We'll run this, and we just got the Pika part. P-I-K-A part. So what this does is that it will print all the letters from 0 to upper limit -1, that is 0 to 3. Why 3? The counting starts from 3, right? So if you observed our previous presentation, what this does is that zeroth letter, that is P, first letter, that is I, second letter, that is K, and the third letter, that is A. P-I-K-A. So it just prints out those 4 letters. 4 means it will only print up to upper limit -1, that is 4 minus 1. So the first 4 characters will be printed. 0, full colon 4 will print out the first 4 characters. Now if you wanted the first 5, 0, full colon 5. We'll run this, and we got Pika C. Very cool. Now what if you just don't want it to start from 0, you want it to start from 1? In that case, it is very simple. 1, full colon, and whatever is the upper limit, let it be 6. Let's run this. A catch in the output, because the printing will start from A of 1, that is our I, all the way to upper limit, that is 6 minus 1, that is the 5th letter. What is our 5th letter? It is H. So it will print all the letters from I to H. Now to get a clear idea of slicing of strings, I want you all to try this at home. The more you practice this, more you will understand this concept. So just write down a simple string and try to slice it in different ways. The concept is very simple. The string letters will be printed from the lower limit to upper limit -1. It will print letters from the first letter all the way to the 5th letter. Very cool, isn't it? So that is all about slicing of strings. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. We were talking about the cool features of strings, and there are plenty more. Okay, so we learned about slicing of strings. There are more ways in which you can slice. In case you just provide a full colon inside the square brackets, we'll run this, and you can see that the whole string gets printed. Whenever you just put in an empty full colon without any numbers in it, it will just print out the whole string just like usual. Nothing will happen. Now, if you print without providing any lower limit, just the upper limit part 5, without any lower limit here, just the upper limit, we'll see what happens. It will print the first 5 letters. The first 5, starting from 0, that is 0th letter, first letter, second letter, third letter, and 4th letter. The first 5, that is upper limit -1. Up to upper limit -1, all the letters will be printed. That means the first 5 letters. Our counting starts from 0. Now you want to print up to 6, you can just provide in 6 here and run it again, and you get the first 6 letters. Now You can also experiment without the upper limit, just the 2 here. That means we have a lower limit here. So what this does is that it will print all the letters from 2 until the end of the string. That means there is no upper limit. It is going to print until the string ends. So it will print all the letters from the second letter all the way up to the last letter of the string. If you want to start printing from just 3, then you can do that. So from the third letter to the end of the string. And by third letter, you must always remember that the counting is starting from 0. I say that again and again so that you don't forget and end up counting from 1 and messing up your program. So this is all about slicing of strings. Now there are many more things that you need to understand about strings. Now suppose you have a string and you want to find out the length of that string. There is a very simple way to do this. Now the best part about Python is that it has done all the work for us. We don't have to do all the hard work. Most of the work is already done by Python. So suppose you want to print the length of this string. So there is an already made up function for this called len. Now if you type in len, parenthesis, inside the parenthesis we just type in the name of our string. In this case it is a. And now if we print this, let's see what happens. We get 7, which is our length of a string. There are 7 letters in this word. Pikachu has 7 letters, so it will print out 7. That means to get the length of a string, you can just type in len, open 2 brackets. Inside the brackets, you provide the variable name. Now, if you don't want to print this name, you want to store it in a variable, you can do that. We can make a variable length equal to, it can be any name. In this case, it is length equal to len of a. That means length will get the value 7 because length of a is 7, so it will get the value 7. Now if you want to, you can print this length again. We'll run this. You get the same output. So to get the length of a string, all you have to do is just type in len, open 2 brackets. Inside the brackets, type in the variable name. Alright, so that is all about this lecture and strings. Now we'll practice more examples with strings. I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day and thank you for watching. Welcome back everyone. We were learning about the cool features of strings. Now in this lecture we'll learn something very interesting. Okay, now there is something called string operations. That means you can perform operations on string. So let me show you an example. Okay, so if you want, have you ever wondered what would happen if we add 2 strings? For example, we print Pika plus Pika. What would happen if we printed this? What do you think? We get the output Pika Pika. That means it will just join those 2 strings into one single string. These 2 words get joined. Now I'll show you a better example. We love Python. Let's run this. We will run this function. Okay, so it combined these 3 words, that is we love and Python, into one single word. We love Python. So if you want, we can just provide a space here and it will look better. Now let's run this. We love Python. Now it looks like a complete sentence. We combined 3 words using the plus operator to make a sentence. How cool is that? You could do the same Using three different variables, you could do that. A equal to B equal to C equal to A equal to V, B equal to love, and C equal to Python. Now instead of adding these, we could simply add A plus B plus C. Now let's run this and we get the same output. So we can either add them as strings or give those string values to a variable and we can add them and it will combine those strings into one single string using our plus operator. Now there is one more operation that you can do on strings, that is the multiplication operator. Very simple to do. Let's change our string here. For this instance, let it be again pica. We'll give a space here and here so that our output looks good. A multiplied by 5. Instead of the addition, this time we are multiplying. Any idea how the output is going to look like? Let's run this and see. We got 5 picas. Look here, pica, 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 pica. So, like the addition operator, our multiplication operator can also be used in string to repeat the string as many times as we want. In this case, we printed out the string 5 times by multiplying it with 5. If you want it to be printed 10 times, you could do that by using A into 10. We run this and we get pica 10 times. So that is how the multiplication operator is going to work. So we learned about two operations, addition operator and multiplication operator. Addition operator is used to combine strings and multiplication operator is used to repeat the strings a number of times. So that is all about operation on strings. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. Welcome back everyone. Now in this section we are going to learn about list. Now list, what are lists? Now list can be treated as a group of similar objects. Now it's a collection of similar objects. A list is a way of grouping similar objects. Like you can have a list of colors and then inside that list you can have all the colors you want, and by using the name of the list you can access all the colors inside. The best part of the list is that it helps in reducing the code size. Okay, so we have opened up our PyCharm here. Now to make a list, it is very simple. To make a list, we type in the list name and then we put the equal to sign. Inside square brackets, remember it is not the parenthesis, we are using the square brackets. We list in the elements of our list, separated by a comma. Suppose you are making a list of numbers from 1 to 10. To make the list, it is very simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way up to 10. You can make a list of the first 10 numbers. Now in this case, we have made a list of the first 5 numbers. It is very simple to make a list. Just open a square bracket. Inside the square bracket, type in the elements of your list, separated by a comma. Remember the comma part. Then we just close that list. So we have made a list here. Now let's try printing this list. To print this list, it is very simple. Just type in print and inside the bracket type in our list variable name. Now A is the name of the list, so we'll type in print A. Now let's run this. And in the output screen you can see the list here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now this is a list of numbers. If you want, you can also make a list of strings. Strings are basically text. Our last section was all about strings. So you already have an idea on how strings work. So now we have made a list of 5 colors. Now if we print out colors, in the output screen we are going to get red, yellow, blue, green and violet. So this is a list of colors. Now the main use of list is to reduce the code size. Now instead of making colors 1 equal to red, color 2 equal to yellow, color 3 equal to blue, color 4 equal to green, blah blah blah, you can just make a list of all the colors and use a single variable name to access all those colors. So this is a very good way of reducing our code size and simplifying our program. So I think by now you have a clear idea on how to make list. Now let's learn about some features of list. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a great day. Welcome back everyone. Now in this lecture we are going to learn more about list. Now in our previous lecture we learned how to make a list. To make a list we type the name of the list equal to open square brackets and type in the elements of the list separated by a comma. We have already made a list of colors and we have 5 colors inside it. Very cool. Now the best part about the list is that you can access each element by using the same list name. So this helps in reducing code size. We talked about all that in our previous lecture. Now in this lecture we will talk about how to access each element of a list. So to do that, just like strings, we type in the list name, in this case it is colors. We open a square bracket. Inside the square bracket we type in 0 to access the first element of the list. Now let's run this and we get the color red. Very easy, isn't it? We just type in the list name, open a square bracket, inside the square bracket type in the number of the element you want to access. Now I already told you when we learned strings that counting starts from 0. So in order to access the first element, type in 0. To access the second element, type in 1. Let's run this again. Yellow. That means we got the second element. So to access the third element, we can type in 2. We'll run this and we get blue. So you get the point, right? Very cool. Now the same way as we sliced our strings, we can slice our list. So if we use a full colon without any numbers, it will print out the entire list. You can see here in the output screen. The same way we slice strings, we could slice list. With lower limit 1 and upper limit 3, that means our list will print from first element all the way up to second element. That is upper limit minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. So it will print all the elements from 1 to 2. So first element is yellow and our second element is blue. So let's run this and we get yellow and blue. Very cool, isn't it? Yes. Now suppose, now all the slicing that you can do on a string, you can do on a list. Now without any lower limit, we just put in the upper limit. That means it will print all the elements up to our upper limit minus 1. That means up to our second element. It will print all the elements inside the list up to our second element. We'll run this and red, yellow and blue. So the same way you can skip in our upper limit and just provide the lower limit. So it will print out elements from our lower limit to the end of the list. So in this case the lower limit is 2. Our second element is nothing but blue and there is no upper limit. That means it will print out all the elements from blue. So let's run this. We'll run this. Blue, green and violet. If you have a clear idea on string slicing, you will have a clear idea on list slicing because both work on the same concept. So that is all about accessing list. Now in our next lecture we will learn more about list. So I'll see you there. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. We were talking about list in our last lecture and we are going to continue doing that. Now if you want to make an empty list, all you have to do is type in the list name. This example it's empty equal to opening and closing brackets and don't write any element inside it. Now this is how you make an empty list. Alright, so now that is out of the way, we are going to learn about list operations. This is an example of the addition operator. So what will happen in this case? We are changing the colors list into colors list plus these two elements. So now if we print colors, what will happen? Let's see and check out the output. Our first list was red, yellow, blue, green and violet. Our second list was red, yellow, blue, green, violet, white and orange. That means by using the plus operator, you can add more elements to your list. So what this line of code does is that it will update our variable colors to colors plus, that means already elements inside the list, plus two new elements, that is white and orange. So the plus operator can be used to combine the elements of a list. Just like in our string operator, where we combined different words using our plus operator, we can combine elements of a list using the plus operator. Very cool, isn't it? So that is all about operations on strings. Now in our next lecture, we will talk more about list. So I'll see you there. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. We were learning about the fun features of list. Now here is a very cool feature which is very important and can be very useful. So take a look at the program in your screen. It is very easy to understand the working of this program if you are very clear with conditional statements and list. So I'll tell you what this does. When I was teaching you conditional statements and iteration statements, I told you that there are different ways in which we could use them. So this is a very different way in which we can use conditional statements. So what this does is that we have a list here. It has three names in it: Larry, Curly and Mo. So what this program does is that it will check if Curly is part of the list. It will check if Curly is part of the list. So to do that, we use the if and in keyword. It is just like when we write a sentence, if Curly in list. That means if Curly is in list, print, yay, Curly is in the list. We can use the in keyword along with our if keyword to write conditional statements in list. So this is a very fun feature. You can try this out. We can do the same with numbers. Instead of a string list, we can have a list of numbers. If 2 in list, yay, 2 is in the list. Okay, let's run this. And we get the output, yay, 2 is in the list. So in this case, we made a list of 3 numbers. And if 2 is part of that list, it will print, yay, 2 is in the list. So this is how we can use conditional statements in list. So that is a very fun feature about list, and this can come very handy at times. So basically what this is that if the element is part of the list, then the condition body will be executed. In this case, it will print out yay, 2 is in the list. So that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture where we talk more about list. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. In this lecture, we are going to learn about list functions or list methods. Now Python has already defined some functions for our list. I already told you that the best part of Python is that it does most of the work for you. There are many predefined functions in Python that make the usage of list very simple and very efficient. So we are going to learn about some important list functions or list methods. So in this lecture we are going to learn 5 of the most important list functions or list methods. They are append, insert, remove, sort and reverse. We'll be learning these 5 methods. These are the most important and most useful methods of list. So let's learn each of them. So I'll explain all these methods with the help of an example. Suppose you're throwing out a party for your friends and you want to make a list of all the friends who are attending your party. Alright? So party members. So we have a variable party memb, which is the list, which will contain all the names of the friends who you're inviting for your birthday party. Most common practice while we make list is that we start out with an empty list and then we append each name to this list. So let's start out here. I'll show you how appending works. To use the append function, we type in our party memb, which is our variable name, dot. We use the dot operator, and from this list you can select append and type in our first name. So let it be Castle. So list was initially an empty list, it didn't have anything inside it. Now we have appended Castle into the list. Now let's try printing this and let's see what happens. You can see that the list is no longer empty. Castle is part of this list. So in order to enter an element into the list, we can use the append keyword. Now let's append a few more names into this. To append, we type in the list variable name dot append, and inside the bracket type in the element we have to add to the list. So let's add another name and we'll print it again to see what happens. Now let's run this. Now first we had an empty list, then we added castle to it, and then we added house to it. Append is used to add a new element into our list. So we added two elements into our list using the append keyword. So I guess the usage of append is clear to you. Now the next function we are going to learn is insert. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, using insert is a little bit different from append. What insert does is that we can also specify the index which we would like to add the element. Now when we use append, it is added to the right side. We cannot specify the location to which we want to enter our element. Now insert allows us to specify the index and also our element. Let's run this. And you can see now that when we used insert 0, that means the 0th position, we have a new name that is Patrick, and it shifts all the rest of the element to the right. So our new 0th element is Patrick, and our new first element is Castle, and our new second element is House. So by specifying the index, we can add our name. Now we could append this name, but that would take it to the 3rd position. We cannot specify the index when we use append, but when we use insert, we can specify to which index value we want to add our new element. So in the coming lectures, we will be dealing with more list functions. So until then, stay tuned. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. In our last lecture, we were learning about list functions or list methods. Now we are going to learn some more important list methods. So we learned about inserting an element into a list. Now there is something that you need to know. We can also remove an element from our list. You were making a party list, remember? You made your list. It got Castle, House and Patrick. These are 3 members who are going to attend your party. But suddenly, House calls in and tells you that he cannot attend the party. He has some other plans and he cannot attend the party. So you want to delete his name from the list. How can you do that? You can do that by using the remove method. Same way, like we use the other list functions, we type in the list name, list variable name, dot remove, and the name and the element which we want to remove. In this case, it's house. So let's remove house from this. House. Okay, now let's print this again and see what happens. Okay, let's run this. You can see now that house is no longer part of our list. We just have Patrick and Castle in our list. So to remove an element from the list, all you have to do is type in the variable name, that is the list name, dot remove, and the name of the element which you want to remove. Now in this case it's a string. You can do the same thing with numbers if you want. Okay, so we learned 3 methods or 3 functions. Now we are going to learn our 4th method, which is going to be very interesting. Let's see what happens. So suppose you want to reverse this order. How can you do that? You can do that by typing in the list name dot reverse, and we need not provide any parameter inside this function. And you can see that our list has been reversed. Check this out. It was Patrick, then Castle. After reversing it, it became Castle, then Patrick. So to reverse a list, type in the list variable name dot reverse. We need not specify any parameters. Okay, so that is about reverse. Now suppose we have a list of numbers. Num equal to 2, 5, 1, 8, 17 and 0. So we have a list of numbers here. So what if you wanted to sort this list? You could do that with the help of a predefined function. I told you Python makes everything easy. So to use this function, it is very simple. We type in our list variable name dot sort, S-O-R-T. Now we'll print this, print num. So we have a number list. It contains 2, 5, 1, 8, 17 and 0. We'll print the unsorted list, and then we will sort this list by using the sort function. Or to use the sort function, type in the variable name dot sort. We need not pass any parameter inside the sort. Then we'll print the list again to see the new sorted list. We'll run this. And we can see that the list initially was 2, 5, 1, 8, 17 and 0. But after sorting, we have a clear descending order. 0, 1, 2, 5, 8 and 7. So to sort the list, it is very simple. We can just use the sort function and Python will sort the list automatically for us. So these are the main. We'll bring back our, so we have bring back all our functions. So these are the most important list methods or list functions in Python. They are append, which is used to insert an element, and then there's insert, which allows you to specify the location to which you want to insert. There is remove, which is used to remove an element. There is reverse, which is used to reverse the order of the element, and then there is sort, which is used to sort the element. So that is all about list methods. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. Now in this lecture, we are going to learn something different. We are going to learn another data structure which is called a dictionary. Now a dictionary is very much similar compared to a list, but there is some features that make dictionaries very special. So let us start out by making a dictionary. To make a dictionary, all we have to do is type in a variable name. Let it be sample equal to. Now in list we use square brackets. In dictionaries we use curly brackets, that is curly parentheses. Now inside the curly brackets we will add our dictionary elements. Now what is a dictionary? Now a dictionary in a real life contains a list of words and their meanings, right? It will have a set of words and their meanings. So in Python, words are called keys and their meaning is called values. That means there will be a key and the key will have a value. So if we type in the key, we will get the value. So to make a dictionary element, first we need a key. So let the key be key1 and let key1 store a value 25. So this is example of a dictionary element. Now the same way we can make more dictionary elements. So what this is going to do is very simple. Key 1 will have the value 25, key 2 will have the value 35, key 3 will have the value 45, and key 4 will have the value 55. Now let's try printing this dictionary out. We will run this and we can get a clear output of how a dictionary will look. Now what makes dictionary stand out is that there will be a key. So by using the key, we can access that unique value. Suppose you want the value stored in key 1. To do that, we type in our dictionary name. Inside square brackets, we type in key 1. Now if we run this, we get the value inside key 1, which is 25. That means we can use keys to access the value stored in it. Now the values need not be integers. That is the best part. It can be anything. It can even be a string. It can even be a string. We'll try running this again and you can see that it works. So a dictionary will have a number of keys and each key will have a unique value and these keys can be used to get that value. So in this case, to get the value, we use the dictionary name. Inside the square brackets, we provided in the key name. And according to the key name, it will print the value stored inside that key. In this case, it will print, hey everyone. Now if we change this key 1 to key 2, we'll get the value stored in key 2, which is 35. And we get the value 35. So this is how a dictionary works. Okay, so that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Welcome back everyone. Now in this lecture, we will learn one of the most important features of Python, that is modules. And modules are very important. I'll tell you why. Now whenever we are writing a program, we always try to reduce the code, right? So that it is easy to understand for the programmer and the program works more efficiently for the user. That's great. So modules play a very important part in doing this. There are two types of modules. One is user defined and the other one is predefined modules. And the predefined modules are already defined modules, already made modules in Python. We don't have to make it. And user defined are the modules made by the user. Predefined modules are modules that already exist in Python. So a very popular module is the math module. Math module contains all the important mathematical functions, almost every mathematical operation. So it is very important that you learn how to use a module. First, learn how to use a predefined module. Then we'll learn how we can make our own modules. So about predefined modules, we cannot just directly use a module. First, we must tell Python that, hey, we need to use this module. So to do that, we use the import keyword followed by the module name. So in this case, we'll use the math module as an example. The math module is a predefined module. I told you it contains mathematical operations. So to use the math module, I'll show an example. The math module has a square root function which will print in the square root of the number. Okay, so what this program is supposed to do is that it will find the square root of 36 and store that value in C and then it will print C. This is what it's supposed to do. Now let's run this and you will see a problem that square root is not defined. Why? because there is no function called square root in our program. Yes, it is inside our math module, but we need to turn on the switch. Square root function is inside our math module, not inside our program. So to access the square root function from the math module, we must first use math dot square root of 36. So if you want to use a function inside a module, you must type in the module name, use the dot operator, and then type in the function name. Simply writing the function name will not work. Now let's try running this. And you can see that it is working perfectly. We got the square root of 36, that is 6 in our output screen. So this is how we use modules. So I'll repeat again. First, we must add that module into our Python file, which we do with the help of import followed by the module name. Then to access a function inside a module, we use the module name, the dot operator, and then the function name and the parameter inside the function. So this is how we use a module. Now in our next lecture, I'll teach you how to make your own modules. It is very exciting. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Okay, so we were talking about modules, and in this lecture we will make our own modules. Let us make a new Python file. We'll go to File, New, a Python file, and we will name it Add. It is going to be a very simple program. With the help of this program, you'll easily understand the need of modules. So we made a Python file called add. Now inside this we are writing a function called add, which will add two numbers. That is what it's going to do. Print a plus b. A very simple function which will add the two numbers. Okay. Now the same way we can make more functions that will subtract, multiply and divide our numbers. Okay, cool. So we made 4 functions which will perform addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Very cool. Okay, so this is our mini calculator, right? So we made a simple Python file which has 4 functions which will perform addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Now let's rename this file into a calculator. Okay, so we have a Python file which has addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Now suppose you want to use these functions in another program. You could try copy pasting this code into this program and then use it, but that will increase the program size. So there is a very simple way you can do this. Every Python file can be treated as a module. So to import that module, all we had to do is just type in import and the module name. So we had just imported our module name. So this is equivalent to copy pasting all this code inside our new Python file. So now we could try adding two numbers using the function add 3, 4. Let's try running this. You'll see that it does not work. Why? Because simply importing the module doesn't work. We must specify that the add function is part of this module. So to do that, we must first type in the module name, dot operator, and then the function name. Add 3, 4. And now let's run this. And we get the output 7. So we just made a module which contains these 4 functions, which is supposed to be our mini calculator, and then in another program we can use all these functions just by typing in 2 simple lines. So this is how we make user defined modules. So this helps in reducing the program size and also helps you in writing a very clean and simple program. So that is all about this lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.